than 1 million people visit Knoebels Amusement Resort each year. It's America's largest free admission amusement park. But have you ever wondered what happens every day to get the park ready for all those guests? From rides to food to atmosphere, a lot of preparation goes into making a day at Knoebels. Before we take you behind the scenes, let's get a lesson in Knoebels history.
Well, originally around the turn of the 20th century, around 1900, the Knoebel family were here. They'd been here for some time at that point, and they had sawmills and a farm. And Henry Knoebel also put a spring dam in the stream over here, and a swimming hole formed. And so groups would come out of Shamokin and Mount Carmel in the mine industries for picnics. Groups called tally-hos. So they'd come by horse and wagon, and they'd have a picnic and swim in the swimming hole. That eventually led to folks saying, this is a beautiful spot, we'd like to have a summer cottage here. And we're standing at this point right next to the site of the first cottage.
The Knoebels got into the business of building cottages and leasing land for cottages to reside upon.
Then they started building cottages at other resorts in the area. And one of the places they were building a cottage was at Lithia Springs outside of Northumberland, where they discovered that folks had a restaurant, a carousel, and a kind of a half swimming pool, half pond arrangement. And Knoebels was building a cottage there, and Henry said, that looks like a business I'd like to get into. They came back here that fall, began digging the pool, right where the pool is now. They convinced the gentleman who owned the carousel at Lithia Springs, a guy named Joe Gallagher from Philadelphia, to bring it here the next year, and they built a restaurant on the site where the Alamo now stands.
On July 4th, 1926, the park opened with a carousel, pool, restaurant, and a few games. Now being operated by the third and fourth generations of the Knoebel family, the park has grown gradually over the years, until 1985.
And then in 1985, we brought the Phoenix here from San Antonio, where it operated as the Rocket, and then things kind of went boom, and the park started to grow much more rapidly.
The Phoenix is consistently rated as one of the top 10 roller coasters in America, and it's where we began our day early in the morning at Knoebels. Meet Kyle Herman and Jeff Semmel. Part of the maintenance crew, these guys are charged with the task of maintaining the Phoenix and ensuring that its riders are safe.
I specialize in a track.
Okay.
I'll go out and check that every morning, and then I'll come back in and help Jeff check the train over, and we'll run that through and check it.
Kyle has a checklist of items that must pass inspection in order for the Phoenix to run.
And I'll go out and walk the track every morning.
Okay.
Go out, see if there's anything wrong with it, see if it's missing any bolts, check the ledgers, all the wood.
In addition to the track, the trains are inspected as well.
Basically what I do is inspect the trains in the morning, check for anything loose on the cars, and then we tighten them up, and like the lap bars, if there's any issues with them, we'll take them apart, inspect them, and make sure everything's working up to safety standards.
It can take Jeff an hour or more to inspect one train, longer if there are repairs to be made. Kyle invited me to go beyond the yellow line and take a walk with him up the first hill. Before we could leave the station, however, I had to don the appropriate safety gear. Despite my completely irrational fear of heights, I stepped out onto the track. While we were walking, Kyle and I talked about his job. Trained as a carpenter, he always wanted to build roller coasters. However, when the opportunity arose to stay close to home and work on the Phoenix, he jumped at the chance. It was obvious in talking to him that Kyle loves his job. Before I knew it, we were standing at the peak of the Phoenix, nearly 80 feet from the ground. And it wasn't even 8 a.m. Obviously, safety is very important to the folks at Knoebels. As Brian Knoebel pointed out, it is ingrained into every member of the maintenance crew.
We tell these people, you're dealing with the most important commodity in the world, is a person's life. We ask our maintenance technicians to inspect the ride as if their own child were riding it every day. They really put their heart and soul into it. We have about I'm going to guess about 30 maintenance technicians that maintain our rides on a daily basis. 20 of those are actually state certified.
Though it is a lot quieter at Knoebels in the morning, there is a lot of activity. Trucks loaded with everything from milk to propane make their deliveries. Cleaning crews tackle the streets, walkways, picnic tables, and even the rides. light bulbs are changed, and, my personal favorite, the flower crews are out watering, deadheading, and caring for the thousands of flowers that blanket Knoebels. Moving supplies around the park is made easier by the more than 90 golf carts kept on the premises. From the maintenance crew, operations staff, office workers, and security personnel, it takes a lot of people to get everything done.
So we have about 160 full-time employees. We have around 1,600 seasonal employees. And a lot of times it's a 24-hour-a-day shift. We have night security here, patrolling the grounds at night. There are a lot of our staff, comes in at 5 in the morning to start cleaning. Our maintenance staff will come in anywhere between 6 and 8 in the morning and start crawling all over the rides. Food managers you'll see rolling in at 8 and 9. But everyone knows it's a 7-day-a-week job.
Operations is in charge of staffing each ride. The park is divided into 10 areas with a supervisor for each one. Within the area, operators are trained extensively on running the rides.
Training. Safety is our #1 priority, but also realize you're dealing with someone's life.
Once they are trained within an area, operators are moved from ride to ride.
The supervisor will move them around from ride to ride that they're already trained on, so it's not so redundant. So you may be at one ride for an hour, then you move to another ride for an hour.
My next stop was at the log flume, where Jim Checo had already started his daily inspection. Notice that the water is not yet flowing. It is stored in 2 holding areas when the ride is off. Built in 1990, the log flume was constructed in true Knoebels style. They preserved as many trees as possible on the site rather than clear cutting, and those trees that had to go were repurposed and used to construct the station for the log flume. The specifications for the ride are quite astounding.
The log flume here at Knoebels has approximately 330,000 gallons of water. We have a large pump which will control the water flow throughout the whole ride, and that pumps approximately 22,000 gallons a minute. That will push at any given time 21 boats throughout the ride, up 2 lift hills, through 1 enclosed tunnel, sending a boat out of the station about every 13-14 seconds, which will hold up to 4 people.
When Jim started the ride, we got a really good sense of just how fast that water is moving. It takes at least 2 hours each morning to inspect the log flume.
We walked the entire ride this morning. What we do is we check for wheel rotation, we check the lift hills, we check the tension on the belts, we check the gearbox, tension on the pulleys, inspect every boat, checking the handrails, the seats, the cushions, the anti-rollbacks on the lift hills, concrete. It's pretty involving.
Wait, did he say anti-rollback?
In case something would happen, any type of mechanical failure or even a power outage, that you will stay where you are. You won't roll back.
Somehow I feel better already. When we come back, we'll check out the food at Knoebels. You know it's delicious, so stick around.